You're a psychologist now. Since you had all the free time on your hand, you went back to and got your PhD and shit like that.
That's the
He said
that's the route you took.
my man Mushmouth asked if you were a psychologist.
At my crib, I got baddies galore. They just blow all the rats on couture. On the beach, we just chill by the shore. I need MTV Chris for a tour.
I have one more thing.
What's up?
I wanted to talk about, like, mental illnesses, depression, anxiety. You know, I've been since I had a lot of free time on my hands these days. I've
You're a
been
psychologist.
pardon.
You're a psychologist now. Since you had all the free time on your hand, you went back to and got your PhD and shit like that.
That's the
He said
that's the route you took.
my man Mushmouth asked if you were a psychologist.
No.
I'm just joking with you.
Oh, no. Well, I was just reading things. Actually, if anything, I want to go and study animals because I like animals more than I like a lot of people.
You like
Um,
animal?
yep.
I got a dog.
Actually, I just recently filled out an application to volunteer at an animal shelter.
Oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
And so
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
get my
gonna go
dog to
apply.
you so you can take her over there.
And so, but I digress. Back to the question I was really asking is that, or the topic I was really trying to talk about is that I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, depression and anxieties that they have. And I really do think that it is very legit that people go through these things and that they suffer from them. But I also think that people don't set themselves up with the best chance to overcome them. Now, what I mean by that is that in order to really be depressed, you have to be okay in all the other, like, subjects in, like, eating well, getting enough sleep, exercising, going outside. You need to make those attempts. And, like, if you're depressed, yeah, you don't want to go do those things, but you kind of have to have that inner strength sometimes to go and try to at least spend a couple hours outside, get the vitamin sun, and make that battle for yourself. But I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to, in a way where they they let those, like, the feelings that of those extreme feelings overcome them, those illnesses overcome them, and they don't give themselves those best chance. Now, I'm not discrediting the fact that people do suffer from these things. I'm bipolar, so I know firsthand that these are symptoms that people go through, but you also have to give yourself the best chance to fight those that rock bottom slide. You know what I mean? So do you think that, so, like, illnesses like depression and anxiety is just people just saying that they have that, or do you think that people are doing what they need to do and actually just, like, suffering from it?
Well, that's an interesting question, and
You
I,
could go first, bro.
yeah, that's an interesting question, and I think that um, the thing you want to differentiate between is whether or not somebody actually is having mental health issues, or whether or not, as J. Cole said, you ain't crazy, motherfucker. You're just afraid to change, right? And I think that there are two different things there. Now, to be really clear, I'm not entirely certain that depression hits everybody else different. It hits people differently. So there are certain things that, there are some days where I wake up and I'm like, yo, I'm going to kill every single person that I come across. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make me crazy? Not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? But
You
do I have
better
to?
answer this damn phone.
Exactly. Yo, if you don't pick up that motherfucking phone, I swear to God, but, like, I'm gonna call you 1,000 times. But that's the thing, right? Like, there's certain things that some people are just predisposed to, and regardless of how hard we may try, we may not necessarily be able to break those habits. Now, are there, like, self-help things that you can do to change your mood? Sure, absolutely. But then there are also some people that there's nothing that they can do, and that's unfortunate. And kind of COVID has kind of put us in this strange world where we're alone, and humans were not designed to be alone. And so you're seeing a lot more people saying, hey, I'm depressed, and and I think I need to take a mental health day, when in all actuality they need sunlight, they need people. So I do agree with you. I think that there's a clear differentiating line there, between whether or not you're actually depressed or if you're just feeling down some days. But I do think that there are certain people that are just crazy. Like if we just take Mr. Kanye West, right? I really fucking hate bringing him up, but I think that he's a really great example of where the line is, right? So we know he needs help. He needs medicine. And we also know he chooses not to take it. So I personally don't give a fuck about whether or not he has any sort of mental deficiency, because he has all the money in the world. He can afford to get any doctor that he wants to get him on any type of regimen that he needs to maintain his mental health. He just chooses not to do it. And I think for me, that's where the line is. When you choose.
What the hell is up with your volume? You going low, then up?
Huh? Yeah, because just the way that I'm speaking, I'm like swinging my head around.
My bad.
I'm trying to build I got something going on.
Build climax.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so yeah, I think that there is a line there, and I think it's important that we be clear and we talk to people about where that line is. But I also think that we need to kind of have a little more of an open mind to be like, yo, the world right now is a real fucked up place and it's real scary. There's fucking a new Netflix show where it's about people who are talking in a giant Zoom conference about how crazy the world is and how, they've all lost their jobs and they just want to see other people, and people are happy to go to these meetings every week. And it was sad. I couldn't make it through 20 minutes of it. I'm like, I don't want to see this shit because it's too real.
Netflix is trash this month. Netflix is trash.
Yeah, I agree. But we're stuck.
Yeah, they're making a whole bunch of money for nothing. But
it kind of leads me to another question.
I ain't get a chance to answer the first one.
I'm sorry.
All right, but listen, I'll make it quick.
Your opinions too.
I'll make it quick. So, mental health. I work with people with mental health. It's real hard and difficult to assess, but it is real shit. It's emotional disorders, it's developmental disorders, it's all kinds of this grown shit, So I feel like it's different kind of mental people. Some people, like I said, is born with it. Some people is developed. Some people is inherited, and then other people is a depression, and mental health becomes a form of ego or defiancy to. I want to say, how should I put this? Almost like self-pity. How people are hypochondriacs and shit like that. And mind you, getting back to what Joe said about this whole time that we in right now, you got to understand, humans, we work by programming, right? So I said this a couple of weeks ago on one of the episodes. Society, they control us by giving us a word. And we run with this word. Remember I said toxic? That's the word. Everybody, we've been hearing toxic for you probably never fucking heard that word as much.
I hate hearing
in the
word
last
toxic.
2 years.
Me.
Only time I used to hear toxic is if I was watching a fucking Ninja Turtles or something like that, or some kind of cartoon. I never fucking heard toxic. Oh, you know what I mean? So now toxic is the word now. So just like mental health, when soon as the COVID started to really sink in, everything was mental health. You've seen anxiety, depression, and it's all on your timeline, your feed, or everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. And mind you, just like they program other bad people like school shooters, and people are being programmed to have, I got anxiety now, I got depression now. But why would they want people to be more have all of this shit? Why would they want this shit? Why would they want to program people like that? You know why? Because they're gonna fucking need meds, and you can be controlled on meds. You can be, things are not what they seem. So I understand shit to a certain avail when it comes to the people that need that balance. Some people may feel like everything in their life is all together and they need that balance. But other people are abusers, and other people don't even know what they're putting themselves into once they start taking that medication, to try to fucking heal some self-pity, you know what I mean? Or to deal with some fucking relationship problems. Now you depressed and got anxiety. Now get the fuck up out of here. And there's other people out there that's really so now we're gonna start having this influx of people where we can't even tell who's who. We're not gonna be able to tell the people that need it from the people that are just abusing it to the people that you know what I mean? Like so it's weird. It's one of those times where I think that everybody needs to be really careful because if you play with that diagnosis, I think it'll come back to haunt you more than anything. Like when we get to whatever this new Hunger Game society is going to be, when they scan your barcode, your shit might say, Man.
We already have that now. Like everybody,
Psychopath type shit.
we already have our money on barcodes. It happened like 40 years ago. You got a
No,
card in
I
your
already
wallet
told
right now.
you. I already told you the mark of the beast is your cell phone. Don't be silly. You know this. And the greatest trick the devil made us believe is that he doesn't exist. And they made us believe that we need this shit every day. And they convinced us to even pay for it. So that shit they better than the devil. Shit. They know where you at. They know your face, your fingerprint. They know what you're thinking. You be like, damn, I should get something. You thinking that shit in your head, and watch, and your ads is popping up. Oh shit, I do need that. I should get it now.
What was that second question?
Well,
Yeah,
I was
what was-
here.
So like self-help, man. I think the biggest thing about that is just knowing yourself. Like when you know yourself, you already understand like your mental areas and you know what
That's
you
right.
have in your life and what you don't have and how you know this might be affecting you, how you feel at that point in time. And when you reflect back on like exactly what's going on in life, you could pinpoint, you know, why do I feel like this or what's going on with me. Like I know when my grandfather had passed away when I was in my freshman year of high school, you know, that made me like lose like stuff that we used to like talk about together or do together. Like that was the first person to teach me how to shoot a basketball. And I just remember that year like quitting freshman basketball and just like staying away from sports that year or just keeping to myself because I didn't really want to like I was just going through something where it's just like damn like you know the person that kind of introduced me to him isn't here no more, so it's not the same. So like I remember like you know going through a short phase of depression where it wasn't like I didn't have a loving environment with my mom around and my stepdad, but it was just like I had to get through whatever I was going through mentally with as far as that pain and that hurt went. So it's just all about like knowing yourself and understanding that you know nothing ever lasts forever. You know you're going to get through whatever you're going through, but you got to of course take the right steps in order to get yourself where you need to be and make sure you evaluate yourself right.
Yeah, man. It's a fucking great point.
Shout out to mental health. Shout out to crazy niggas in front of the train station selling Lucy's. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Delonte West. I actually heard he's like doing like a good flip and he's making a lot of progress. So shout out to him. I want to see him doing good. I want to see. I've dealt with mental illness and shit in my family, so I know it's not a game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, shouts out to Mark Cuban with that Delonte West issue as well.
yeah, and I've in the Kanye West case, Joe, don't be too hard on him, please, because I don't really think Kanye is self-inflicted crazy. I think he was drugged, yo. I really do, and it's hard when you battling with your reality versus a delusional reality. I don't think.
I remember when Ye's mom passed away, that's when it kind of started to trigger a little bit. That's when nothing was kind of the same.
Yeah, the Henny, all of that. But I think somebody slipped him something. My man was a talented person, not Kanye, my man. And, you know, it was like he seen like the light at the superstardom tunnel, you know? And he almost got right there. He was like on 106 in Park. And like when that shit fell off, like, you know, he started just hanging out with some derelict niggas and, you know, like he went a little bit MO, like for a little bit, like, and he came back, but I think he goes, you know what I mean? I think that's what Kanye going through. I think somebody gave him something and he goes, he come back a little bit, but and then we think it, and then he go again. So I really think it's something of the same nature, man, because I've never seen any kind of natural, you know, even bipolar or anything, that even schizophrenic and manic shit doesn't make you. His shit is more like spacey. It seemed like drug induced on some real sunken place shit. Everybody joking about that shit. That shit might be real.
At my crib, I got baddies galore. They just blow all the rest on couture. On the beach, we just chill by the shore. I need MTV Chris for a tour.